Hey all, it's David Ducker coming back at you, and today we're going to be talking about narrative level ups, leveling up narratively. A lot of systems have levels or points to spend during the game, depending on the system. You know, you level up, you gain XP, and you spend it right away. But not a lot of systems that I've seen give you any guidelines for incorporating that into the story, into the story of your character. You know, if you're looking back on his autobiography, a lot of people don't just get better. Sometimes that's the way it happens. You know, you slowly accumulate skills through experience, but oftentimes you have to do some training or some schooling to actually improve and gain those skills. I mean, just in real life. So I really love the idea of this and of building your character up in a narrative. So if you start out as a blank slate, if you want, if you're playing Warhammer and you want to start as a peasant, a farmer, and say, oh, I could go in any direction. You know, I have 0 in everything, but I could go anywhere. So maybe you start getting in fights, and you're like, okay, I'm going to start improving my fighting skill. I might end up taking a level of martial or something. Militiaman, that's it. Martial is the top tier, militiaman's the bottom tier. But if you don't get in a fight, maybe you end up sneaking by some enemies instead. You could think, oh, I'm going to take a level of rogue instead. That's what I've gained experience from. So that's where it's going to go and invest into. And of course, some systems do have this mechanically coded in. I believe Call of Cthulhu has a system, I think it's called Basic Role Playing is the engine, where every time you fail, you gain XP towards that skill only, and eventually after like 10 XP it levels up. So as you get better, you fail less often, and you level up more slowly. It's kind of self-policing. Sounded really interesting to me. I haven't tried it out yet. It's a great concept though. Code this level up in mechanically, as well as, like I said, narratively, what you want to do. You know, sometimes you'll be going through the character and you're like, oh, okay, I'm a fighter, I'm fighting. But oh, how interesting would it be if suddenly his magical power awakened and I grabbed the level of sorcerer on there. And that might not be best for his build, for his combat build, but narratively, that could be so interesting. You know, throw that level of sorcerer on there, and now you're different from 90% of other fighters and warriors. You know, class-based systems can make this, the narrative level up, better, because there's so much more extreme. You have this big package of skills, whereas point buy, it's harder to montage and say, oh, suddenly I'm pretty good at something. You really have to slowly, incrementally build it up, which can be great too if you have the time to invest, but you don't always have that time. You know, if you look at the Harry Potter film series, I'm sure they skipped over a lot of the learning in that, but because it's 7 movies, you don't notice it's so bad as if it were one movie. He went from apprentice to master in one movie. It'd be less interesting unless you bring in the montage, Rocky style, which is a great advanced narrative technique to use to describe scene after scene after scene in quick progression or procession, so that you can show this growth and this learning in your character. So I'd encourage everyone to montage continually, and I'd encourage you to think about when you're leveling up, what did I spend the XP on? That's what I should probably invest it back into. Not what I want to, but what I actually did. The history of my character is what his XP is. You know, I've done 2 videos so far on XP, and I've discussed that in a little more depth as well. But I'd love to see more of that at my table, at other tables, just in the rule book. A lot of rule books don't say anything about this, or about any narrative techniques, really, which is why I have a channel. Otherwise, I would just have a nice book. which would be, save me time, save you time too. Now another thing I wanted to mention while I'm talking about narrative levels is drawbacks and flaws. So I'm wondering, maybe I should just do that as a separate video. I think I will. I'm gonna nip this idea out. I'm gonna get a separate video out of it. But why don't you tell me about in the comments below, when did you narratively level up? You described learning. You sought out a teacher, a master. You said, I've heard you're the great swordsman and you need to teach me now. Or you went and gone on a pilgrimage to a shrine so that you could cast miracles from your deity if you're a priest or a cleric. When have you actually brought this in and made it storyline and said, I want to improve, so I've got to seek out learning, or I've got to seek out experience, if you're, it could be just as simple as, I want to learn to read. I got to go to the Meister Citadel in Old Town. And just getting to Old Town along the Rose Road could be very, very difficult. And of course, all my throners out there will know all about the Rose Road, son. Repping Game of Thrones up in here for some reason. But yeah, leave that in the comments. If you've done that, if you've seen that, let me know about it. I'd love to hear about it. And I'm going to sign out now because I'm milking this idea. I'm going to pull out a video about drawbacks and qualities. So I'll catch you later.